Brittney Griner just sat on the bench crying while a 23-year-old completely destroyed her legacy in front of everyone. The Indiana Fever just pulled off the impossible, winning a playoff series with 6 injured players, including Caitlin Clark. But the real story is what happened to Griner in those final minutes. She wasn't just beaten, she was replaced. And the tears afterward told us everything about where her career is heading. What you're about to hear will change how you see the WNBA's future. Because this wasn't just a game, it was a passing of the torch that nobody saw coming. Let me paint you the picture of what went down last night in Atlanta. The Fever walked into Gateway Center Arena missing half their roster. Caitlin Clark was out with her ankle injury that's been keeping her sidelined since early January. Sophie Cunningham couldn't suit up. Chloe Bibby, Sydney Colson, Demaris Dantas, and Aari McDonald were all in street clothes. That's literally 6 rotation players gone. Most teams would have rolled over and accepted their fate, but what happened next shocked every analyst who said Indiana had 0 chance. Before we dive deeper, if you're enjoying this breakdown, hit that like button and let me know in the comments. Do you think Griner should retire after this? The atmosphere inside that arena was electric, but for all the wrong reasons if you were a Dream fan. Fever supporters somehow outnumbered the home crowd by the 3rd quarter. You could hear them chanting louder than Atlanta's own fans during an elimination game. That's when you knew something special was brewing. Kelsey Mitchell started attacking the rim like her life depended on it. Lexi Hull was diving for every loose ball. But the real story was developing in the paint, where Aliyah Boston was about to end Brittney Griner's reputation as an elite center. Here's what makes this even more shocking. Griner has been the face of playoff dominance for over a decade. She's got championships, Olympic gold medals, and a resume that most players dream about. But in this series, especially in Game 3, she looked completely lost. 4 points on terrible shooting in one game, 2 points and 2 rebounds in another. Those aren't slump numbers, those are career-ending numbers. And her coach, Tanisha Wright, knew it too because she benched Griner during the most critical minutes of an elimination game. Think about that for a second. Your supposed star center is sitting on the bench while your season is on the line. Meanwhile, Aliyah Boston was putting on a masterclass. 14 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, and the game-winning layup with 7.4 seconds left. But those numbers don't tell the whole story. Boston wasn't just scoring, she was completely shutting down Griner's entire offensive game. Every time Griner tried to post up, Boston pushed her out to uncomfortable spots. Every fadeaway Griner attempted looked forced and awkward. By the 3rd quarter, you could see the frustration building in Griner's body language. She was getting out-muscled by someone 11 years younger, and everyone in that arena knew it. What happened next would shock everyone watching because this wasn't supposed to be how Griner's career looked in 2025. After everything she went through with the situation in Russia, coming back to the league was supposed to be her redemption story. Instead, she's watching from the bench as younger players take over the spotlight she once owned. The post-game interview was even more revealing. Griner broke down in tears saying, quote, "I try to give myself grace, but it's so hard for me to do that. At the end of the day, it's my fault and I let everybody down," unquote. Those aren't the words of someone planning a comeback. Those are the words of someone who knows their time is up. But that wasn't the whole story developing in Indiana's miraculous run. While Boston was dominating the paint, the rest of the Fever were proving that they're not just a one-player team anymore. This is crucial because everyone keeps saying Indiana only wins when Caitlin Clark goes off. Well, Clark wasn't even playing, and they just eliminated a team that was supposed to have way more depth. Kelsey Mitchell dropped 22 points when it mattered most. This was her first playoff series win ever, and she made sure everyone remembered her name. Lexi Hull, who barely got minutes earlier this season, was making plays that don't show up in the box score but completely changed momentum. The coaching battle was another layer nobody's talking about enough. Stephanie White completely outmaneuvered Tanisha Wright in adjustments. When Atlanta tried to exploit Indiana's lack of depth, White countered by shortening rotations and playing her starters heavy minutes. It shouldn't have worked with tired legs in Game 3, but somehow the Fever looked fresher than the Dream in the fourth quarter. White also made the brilliant decision to have Boston play more as a facilitator, which opened up driving lanes for Mitchell and created confusion in Atlanta's defensive scheme. Here's where things get really interesting for the future of both franchises. The Dream invested heavily in Griner being their anchor for the next few years. They built their entire defensive system around her rim protection. Now they're watching her get dominated by younger centers and having to bench her in crucial moments. That's not just a basketball problem, that's a franchise-altering crisis. How do you move forward when your supposed cornerstone is clearly declining faster than anyone expected? On the flip side, Indiana just proved they can win without their biggest star. Yes, Caitlin Clark is incredible, and Sophie Cunningham brings that energy everyone loves, but this team showed they have multiple ways to beat you. Boston is becoming the best two-way center in the league right before our eyes. Mitchell is proving she's clutch when it matters. The supporting cast is buying into their roles. This is how championship teams are built, not just around one superstar, but with depth and versatility. The retirement talks around Griner started immediately after the game, and honestly, they make sense. She's 34 years old, has accomplished everything possible in basketball, and just got thoroughly embarrassed by someone who should be learning from her, not destroying her. The physical tools that made her dominant are clearly diminishing. Her lateral movement looks slow, her vertical is gone, and most importantly, her confidence seems shattered. When you combine all that with the emotional toll of admitting you let everyone down, retirement starts looking like the only dignified exit. What makes Boston's emergence even more impressive is how she's evolved her game since entering the league. Remember, she was criticized early for being too passive, for not demanding the ball enough. Now she's taking over elimination games and making veteran all-stars look washed. Her footwork has improved dramatically, her passing vision is elite for a center, and her defensive IQ is off the charts. She's not just replacing Griner as a dominant center, she's redefining what the position can be in the modern WNBA. The crowd reaction told the whole story too. Every time Boston touched the ball in the fourth quarter, you could feel the energy shift. Dream fans went quiet while Fever fans got louder. Every time Griner checked in during the third quarter, there was nervous energy from Atlanta supporters because they knew she was struggling. That's a complete reversal from how these matchups used to go. Griner used to be the one crowds feared. Now she's the one they target. Let's talk about what this means for the rest of the playoffs because Indiana isn't done shocking people. They've already proven they can win without Clark, which means when she comes back from injury, they'll be even more dangerous. Teams can't just focus on stopping Clark anymore because Boston will dominate inside. They can't pack the paint because Mitchell will burn them from outside. This is the kind of balance that wins championships, not just regular season games. The financial implications are huge too. Griner has one of the biggest contracts in the WNBA, and if she's truly done being effective, that's dead money Atlanta can't use to improve. Meanwhile, Boston is still on her rookie deal, giving Indiana flexibility to add more pieces around their young core. That's how dynasties get built in professional sports. Young talent on cheap contracts surrounded by smart veteran additions. But here's the part nobody wants to admit out loud. Griner's decline isn't just about age. It's about the game passing her by. The WNBA has gotten faster, more skilled, and more athletic in recent years. Centers can't just be tall and strong anymore. They need to be able to switch on defense, pass out of double teams, and even step out to hit threes occasionally. Boston can do all of that. Griner can't, and that gap is only going to get wider. The emotional aftermath was hard to watch, but necessary to understand where things are heading. When a player of Griner's caliber breaks down and admits fault that publicly, it's usually the beginning of the end. She knows what everyone else sees, that she's become a liability rather than an asset. That's a brutal realization for someone who's been at the top for so long, but Father Time remains undefeated in professional sports. What happened next in the locker room reportedly made things even clearer. Sources say Griner was inconsolable. Teammates tried to comfort her, but she kept repeating that she let them down. That's not normal post-game emotion. That's someone grappling with their basketball mortality. The Dream organization now faces an impossible decision about their future with her. Indiana's celebration was the complete opposite. Boston was lifted up by teammates, Mitchell was screaming with joy about finally winning a playoff series, and even the injured players were going crazy on the sidelines. Clark was the first one to hug Boston after the game winner. Cunningham was spraying water bottles like champagne. This is a team that believes they're just getting started, not one that's happy to just be there. The statistical comparison is even more damning when you dig deeper. Griner's player efficiency rating this series was the lowest of her playoff career. Her true shooting percentage was abysmal. Her defensive rating was actually negative, meaning the Dream were better on defense when she sat. Compare that to Boston's numbers: elite efficiency, dominant rebounding rate, and a defensive rating that shows she completely controlled the paint. These aren't opinions, these are facts that show a clear changing of the guard. Looking ahead to next season, assuming Griner doesn't retire, where does she fit? She can't be a starter anymore based on this performance. But can her ego handle coming off the bench? Can Atlanta afford to pay max money for a backup center? These are questions that will dominate the offseason, and there might not be good answers to any of them. For Indiana, the future looks incredibly bright. They've got their franchise center in Boston, their superstar guard in Clark when she's healthy, and now they've proven they have the depth to compete even when stars go down. Add in Cunningham's toughness and Mitchell's scoring ability, and you're looking at a team that could dominate the Eastern Conference for years. The bigger picture here is about legacy and how quickly it can change. Griner will still be remembered as an all-time great, but this series will always be the footnote that explains when it ended. Boston will be remembered as the one who took the torch and ran with it. That's how sports history gets written. Not gradually, but in moments like these where everyone can see the shift happening in real time. So what do you think? Should Brittney Griner retire after this embarrassment or try to come back for redemption? Is Aliyah Boston already the best center in the WNBA? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe for more breaking WNBA coverage. Because if this series taught us anything, it's that the league is changing fast and you don't want to miss what happens next.